Hey guys, this is Voxside, and in this video I will go over this project file and show you how to edit everything and everything you might need to know about using this template. Alright, so here I am inside the project file, and let's see, I'm using quarter resolution, and just because this will make things a lot faster, and I recommend using quarter resolution here. Just when you do your editing, it will load faster, and then you can set it to full and check out your frames like that after you've made the editing. All right, so let's set this back to quarter resolution. All right, and here are the folders that you'll be working with. So let me explain the setup here. The first folder is edit, and here you will have all the compositions with the holders. So for example, the logo holder, the first one will be this scene here at the end. So if I scroll my timeline, here you can find the scene, and for example, if I double click the logo holder, this will place you inside the composition to edit. And here you will need to import a new logo, so you can go ahead and double left click in this window area over here, navigate through your logo folder, and then simply click your logo, hit open, and this will import your logo. Drag and drop your new logo inside the composition, press S for scale, rescale this and readjust your logo as needed. You can go ahead and grab the old layer and delete. And for the new text, you can go ahead and double click this text layer and just type your new text. Alright, so pretty simple, and if I go back inside render, you can see everything updated here. Alright, so that's for logo holder. Then we have all of the text as shown in the preview. So if I go to the beginning of my timeline and double click on text 1, this will bring up my comp. And here I can go ahead and double click this and edit the text. So let's see, new text here, and this font, by the way, is called this is, let's see, Bebas Neue. I'm pretty sure I'm not pronouncing that right, but anyway, this is the font available on thefont.com. Alright, so now that I've edited the text and go back inside the render composition, you can see your text updated here. And basically what you will need to do is go ahead and just go through all of these text for compositions and edit all of them. So for example, for text 2, let's just show you another example here. So type your text. Alright, and if I go back, this will be updated, and you can go ahead and preview your frames, see if everything is right. And basically what you will have to do is go through all of the timeline and all of the text compositions and simply edit the text like I've shown you. So that's pretty much what you have to do to edit the text and change the logo and all of that. Alright, so once you've done with that, you can go ahead and under the second folder, which will be the render folder, here if you double click this composition, this will pop up this composition right here that's opened by default upon opening the project file, and this will be the composition that you will be using to render. So once you've done all of the editing, you can double click this composition to access it, go to composition, pre-render, and then you can choose a file name here and a location, and then inside costume AV over here at the bottom you can select your format. You should go with H.264, and these are my format options. And for target bitrate and maximum bitrate, I like to use something a little higher, so maybe 150 and 300. Don't forget to select audio output if you've imported the soundtrack also in the project. Hit OK and then hit render, and that's it for rendering. Alright, let's go back inside the render composition. Alright, so double click after you've edited everything, and this will be the composition that you will be using to render. Alright, so let's go inside extra now. Inside extra folder, there's a scenes folder and a main comp composition. So if I click this main comp, this will contain all of the scenes in order, and you can see the way I've placed them on the timeline to fit the time track. And all of these scenes here in the main comp can be also accessed through the scenes folder over here. So all of these here are actually all of these over here. Alright, so for example, if you're using a different soundtrack and you might want to extend some scenes or cut some scenes shorter, you can go ahead and do that from here. So for example, you can move scenes over and maybe make other scenes longer. Alright, so you kind of get the idea. This is all very modular. So as you can see, all of these scenes are pretty lengthy. Most of them are around 4 seconds long, so that's how far you can extend a scene. And yeah, so this is what you will need to, this is where you will be working in case you want to use a different soundtrack. So alright, and also there's an adjustment layer here which just has some small flash in between these two scenes. And also scene 4, if I right click and go to time, or actually if I drop down this layer here, you can see that there's time remap enabled, so this will make it go faster. And this is synchronized to the audio track, so you will need to disable this if you want to use this scene. Alright, let's see what else. If I go inside each scene, so for example scene 1, you can see that there are a few layers here that I laid out in order to make editing this composition a little easier. So for example, first we have our camera and a camera help, and the camera, you can just go ahead and select the camera, press C for camera and just move this around, and you can see how you can actually create a new angle here and use another angle. And let's undo this. I also have a camera help layer which just makes it a lot easier to orbit. So for example, if I select the rotation tool and select this camera help null object over here, for example, I can create some rotations if I rotate on the y-axis. So these are more precise rotations, sort of. Alright, and I can also grab the z-axis and just simply orbit in one dimension. And of course the x as well. Alright, so this is the purpose of this camera help layer. Then we have color correction, which is, you can see if I turn this on and off, what it does. And of course you can turn this off and do your own color correcting if you need to. There's a flash layer here at the beginning, and if I turn this off, you can see how this works. And if I press U for keyframes, you can see that there's a fade out here at the beginning and then another fade out here at the end, which just makes helps make everything a little darker. All right, and let's see. Then we have a special layer which is light, and this light has only one effect, which is a custom parameter intensity. And for example, if I select this layer and press U to show my keyframe information, you can see that this is set to 85 and then it goes to, let's see, 10. And as this happens, you can see that the text is also losing the light. Alright, and basically, let me just show you. You can control this slider, so I'm just going to turn off the animation. And for example, if I set the slider, you can see as I scrub through the values of this parameter, you can see how the text changes. So I can increase the light of the text or decrease it and create this kind of a luminant scene. Alright, so I can turn this off and I can even go in a negative value, but usually you should be using values between 0 and 100. Alright, so you can make some really cool, interesting light effects to make your scenes a little more interesting, and this is by default set to 85. Right, let's actually undo this. and retain the original animation. Alright, so this is basically how the scenes work. Then we have, starting from, I believe, let's see, if I go here, starting from scene 6, the text starts to get some fracturing. Alright, so inside scene 6, everything is laid out exactly the same. So you have your camera, which you can change, and everything. The only thing different here is there is a shutter layer. And if I go to effects controls here at the top, and by the way, if you don't have this effects controls here, all you have to do is press F3 and this will bring it up, right? And there's a shutter 1 option here, and this is a point, so I can choose where the text is being fractured. All right, so for example, you can see as I move this point around, you can adjust where the text is shattering. Alright, so that's pretty cool. Let's undo that. And depending on where your text is being fractured, you will also need to change the debris particles that surround this fracturing, and this will be this particle explode layer. Alright, so you can grab this and simply move it around to match your fracture. Alright, so this is pretty much it. There's a little bit more complexity towards, let's see, maybe, I think it was right here at the end. Alright, so maybe the last scene. Alright, so this guy here has a bit more things here, but basically we just have the shutter, and this guy has 3 shutters that happen in order. So you can see here happens the first shutter, second shutter here, and then the third shutter, and you can adjust all of these individually. Alright, so you can move the points around and the shuttering will be adjusted. And then we have 3 particle explosion layers, and you can grab all of these and adjust them as necessary. I think that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me using the contact form on my profile. I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible, but that's it for this video. Hope it's been helpful, and I will see you next time.